Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. This is the first moderated panel of the OUTSOUTH Queer Film Festival, and I'm your host, James Monastero. So we're going to start off with some brief introductions. We're going to start with Patricia Kelly, who's a writer, director, producer, and actor. Her first 3 short-screened at international and Irish festivals, picked up a number of awards and nominations along the way. Cost You Nothing, which is here at the Out South Film Festival, will air on Ireland's national TV station RTE later this year, and her first radio comedy play also aired on the national broadcaster. So, Patricia, do you want to chime in and tell us a little bit about yourself and the film?
Sure, thanks. Thank you very much. Yes, the film that I have in OUTSOUTH this year is Cost You Nothing. It's a short film with a trans storyline, and we're really, really delighted that it's part of the festival this year. I'm looking forward to everyone getting to see it. So I'm on this project. I was the writer, director, and one of the producers, and I had a small role in the film also. So it's great that it's doing so well in festivals in Ireland and around the world at the moment, and we're really excited that people are responding to it, and I hope people have questions for myself and Jack if he can join us. And yeah, it's great to be part of this panel. Thank you for inviting me.
Great, and thank you so much for submitting it to Out South. Up next, we have Joe Solomon, a producer and director who has always had a passion to tell stories that fully engage, provoke, and entertain audiences through film. Joe, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your film, Eve?
Yeah, of course. So Eve is a short comedy drama, and it's a coming out story of a young woman who's actually just kind of come to the realization after she's married her longtime boyfriend that she's made a really bad mistake and that she's attracted to women. And yeah, she goes through a massive stress and anxiety. And it was a script that I actually saw about 4 years ago, and it's taken a very long time to get to screen, but very excited that it's here in Out South. And yeah, and hopefully it would be great to hear what people think about it after they've seen it.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for that. And I believe we have one more, and let me get to their bio, unfortunately. Just 1 second. Okay. Oh, did Jack actually arrive? I'm not sure if we have anyone else in the waiting room or not. But
Dean from Next of Kin.
Oh, that's right. Okay, sure. So lastly, we have Dean Marriott, a dual Irish and UK national who is currently based in Berlin, Germany. He trained as an actor at East 15 Acting School in London, and after 14 years as an actor, he followed with an MA in fiction directing at the Met Film School in Berlin, which he completed in October 2018. Joe, would you like to tell us a little bit more about your film and your life?
Hi. Yeah. So my name's Dean Marriott. I am a writer-director based in Berlin. And Next of Kin is my first short film since graduating from the Met Film School. So it premiered at Raindance in November 2020. And it tells the story of a young gay couple who are unmarried. They moved to Berlin. And whilst in Berlin, one of them suffers from a seizure, is taken into hospital. And then tragic circumstances ensue. As a result, the hospital has to contact the next of kin. However, as his partner is not married, he's not legally recognized as next of kin, he is effectively bypassed. And so from the administrative perspective, he doesn't exist. And so it's a story from his perspective as to the tragedy that can occur for unmarried couples, and how, especially if you're a gay couple, even if you're married in certain countries, that wouldn't be recognized. And so therefore you're treated effectively as unmarried, and for next of kin purposes, you're invisible.
Right. Very, very important to recognize that. And thank you all again for submitting to Out South Film Festival. And we're really happy to have you here. I think I'm the only one out of this current group on the screen that's actually in the United States right now. So that's great. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some questions coming in from the audience that's watching on YouTube. But in the meantime, we can get started. So this panel discussion is pretty much to discuss the gender identity of actors in queer cinema and how important it is to have representation. So I'd like to start off, I suppose, with Patricia. Would be great. In Cost You Nothing, you have a trans actor. Did you find it particularly important, obviously for the story, to have someone that had that authentic experience when you went into casting?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I knew when I was writing the piece that that I would only make it if I found the right trans actor to play the role of Alex. And after a little research, I came across Jack Murphy, who did an exceptional job in the role of Alex. He played Ireland's first trans character in a soap opera. And I knew that he's also an activist, a trans rights activist, and I was aware of his work anyhow. So I reached out to him and said, I'd love to talk to you about the project, and would you have a read of the script, and can we have a chat about it and see, if there's something you'd like to do. So he was involved from very, very early on, and for me it was really crucial to have a trans actor in a trans role, and particularly in this, I'm a cis woman, and so my understanding of trans issues and so on only goes so far. So it was really it made an enormous difference having Jack's early involvement. Just to give you one example, in an early draft of the script, I had a scene where the character of Alex shaves. And then I actually took it out of the script for practical reasons. I thought, oh my God, the continuity of this will be a nightmare. We'll have to shoot it in order. And I just thought, oh, never mind, take it out, make life easier as a filmmaker. And so the draft that Jack first read didn't have it in it. And he came to me afterwards and he said, I really think it's a good idea. What would you think if we, if the character shaved his beard? And it was only then when talking to him, I gained a fuller understanding of the importance of, for example, of facial hair. Very often for trans males, and so that became an important part. So we said, okay, practicalities be damned, we'll shoot it pretty much in order, And so it was great to have him then in the early stages like that, and all the way through talking to him about, because the story of Cost You Nothing is very much of a trans man whose family is or whose mother is unable to accept his transitioning. And forces him to go through a ridiculous charade during a family occasion, and so it was really terrific to talk to have Jack there to talk about that all the way through and get his insight and things like that.
Yeah, I know on a personal level how important my facial hair is. So that particular scene really got to me as well, just making that so real.
Right, I'm glad to get it.
Level. So. As for, if Dean or Joe want to take this one, when do you believe it's critical to have LGBTQ actors on screen? Do you try to cast for the role particularly, or what would you say is the goal there?
So when I was casting Eve, I was specifically looking for queer female actors to be involved in the film. I didn't actually find it that easy in terms of finding a lot of queer female actors who I could reach out to. It was difficult in the casting process, and to be honest with you, also it's kind of tricky sometimes with actors if you're auditioning them to actually outrightly ask what their sexual orientation is. So I didn't actually know that my lead actor was queer until I found out during the shoot, actually, because she was getting married to her long-term female partner. But I didn't know. I just thought she was brilliant, and I knew the other character playing the kind of romantic interest is queer and identifies as such. But I didn't know that about the female lead, and I did want a female lead who was queer. But I think actually sometimes it can be difficult as well to actually I don't know, directly ask an actor, what is your sexual orientation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dean, did you find any trouble with that?
Yeah, well, basically, as far as I understand, it's not actually in line with employment law to ask the sexual orientation of an actor. You can't actually come out and do that. So when I was looking for the actors for Next of Kin, basically the breakdown gives the details of the character, and then after that, the audition process was for me to see who corresponded best with my vision of the characters and connected with the role. At no time did I ever ask if they were gay, and even during the shooting, I didn't have that discussion. It transpired that both the actors have girlfriends, but I still don't know how they identify personally. We've never spoken about that. And to me, I mean, I'm an actor as well. I've been an actor for most of my life. I'm gay, but I've never been to a casting where I've been asked, "Are you gay?" Mm-hmm. And also, I would say 99.9% of the roles that I've been for haven't been gay. Mm. And so in fact, I've never played a gay character.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just so you know, Jack is backstage if you want to introduce Jack.
Oh, great. Sure. And this is Jack Murphy is back?
Yes.
Okay, great. So exciting news. So from Cost You Nothing, we do have Jack Murphy, the actor. He is a Dublin-born actor who made history playing Ireland's first trans character in a soap opera in 2017. Jack, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and also your work on Cost You Nothing? I believe he's frozen.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Oh, he was overcoming some internet issues. Okay.
Yeah, that's too bad. Hopefully we can get him in at some point.
I'm gonna remove him, and if he pops back up, I'll let you know.
Sounds good. All right, on to the next question. Then let me scroll down a little bit here. So when it comes to the storytelling and the movie making, Dean, you brought up a good point there, in that you don't typically ask. It's kind of against the rules for one thing, but also it might not be relevant in some cases. However, when there is a case where you do think it's especially relevant, like in the case of Cost You Nothing with Patricia, do you ever foresee an instance, Dean, where you might want to be a little bit more, I guess, attentive to having representation by an LGBTQ cast?
Yeah, I think you can achieve that through the casting process, through the breakdown, and through asking for actors that can identify with the character. So by the way you phrase something, hopefully, I haven't been in this situation, so it's difficult to hypothesize about it, but hopefully then only actors will be put forward who do have some connection with the role, or whose agents think they have some connection with the role. I think it's a really difficult one because, I know a lot of actors as well who aren't even out to their agents. I guess maybe for the trans community, it could be a little bit different. I really don't have much insight into that. So I think that's probably better for Patricia to kind of comment on that, because I haven't had any experience in that field. But I know for like my area, dealing with gay characters and friends who are actors who are gay, not all of them are out about their sexuality, or their agents as well over the years have told them to play it down and not really to discuss it, because otherwise they'll be overlooked for certain roles, or they might end up being pigeonholed for other roles when there are fewer of them available. And so, as an actor, you want to act, you want to work. Absolutely. It's a difficult situation to be in.
Right. And you do bring up another good point, which is that sometimes, well, historically speaking, there hasn't been a huge abundance of gay-centric or LGBTQ-centric roles. And there's certainly not, especially here in the United States, there's certainly not many of out LGBTQ actors. So it would be extremely difficult. I know that people have, made negative commentary just about the fact that, we can't have, people cast in certain roles that where we probably feel that they should be. A great example over here would have been Transparent. And that sort of thing, where it's just like, well, there isn't exactly an abundance of out, and it does. I think being trans lends itself a little bit more to that, because it's more of a, it's more easily expressed, I suppose, would be the best way to put that. But so, does anyone have some more thoughts on that, just in terms of making sure that there's LGBTQ representation in casting, when it is important and when it's not important?
I would just say, I think representation, as discussed, is hugely important, and particularly because there are so fewer trans characters in lead roles, it really is crucial that trans actors play them, and also because it's very much it's an identity issue rather than a sexuality issue in a lot of cases, or most cases. And other than that, I mean, as most of us would say, like, when it comes to sexuality, well, love is love. So I would feel I have now cast for 3 short films featuring queer characters. The second one was Cost You Nothing, with the trans character. And my first, When Possible Take a U-Turn, and my most recent one I've just shot, Very Slightly Included, all had female queer characters in it. And so what I basically, of course I didn't, say that I was only looking for queer actors for the reasons that everyone else has mentioned there. But so I found that a very good approach was simply being really clear in the casting notes about what it was that I was casting. And then I found that a certain amount, a good amount of actors told me initially, when they sent in their CVs and so on, that they were members of the queer community. Others didn't, maybe, and said it in the audition. And then others said, look, I'm straight, but I have previously played gay characters. I don't mind, kissing somebody of the same sex or whatever. So I think really, an intelligent, sensitive approach all round will generally do the trick, and I have also found as well that actors are very they're very good at sharing information online. When I would put up casting notes and that, and if a role, whether it was or wasn't for them, they would very often tag other actors to let them know this might be a part that you'd want to go for, and so on. I see an awful lot of that, which is hugely helpful. And so therefore I think that really helps to kind of spread the word, particularly within minorities and marginalized communities.
Mm. Yeah, agreed.
Actually, following on that point from Patricia, I mean, actually, that was something I did during the whole casting process, is asking for recommendations, and also in terms of queer actors, asking, do you know someone who would be good for this part? I mean, it's a really good thing to do, because it does work.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's see. I know that it's a little bit, so we're expecting probably, I think, 5 more people. So I apologize if we're only 20 minutes in, so we do have a lot of time. So I think we're probably going to end up making this a little bit more conversation heavy, I suppose. So
I think Jack is back. Maybe he can come in as just audio. We'll put him in the stream and see what goes on. There we go.
Okay.
He's upside down, which is kind of fun.
Cool. All right, let's see if he's available to chat. Jack, are you there?
So Jack might want to try a different browser to connect with the same link.
Right. Let's see. Well, let's see. I guess that's it. All right. So how about discussing how your script or personal directing philosophy influenced your decisions to choose your actors? I know we kind of touched on this a little bit already, but especially with Patricia. But if you wouldn't mind maybe going into a little bit more detail about how your personal directing philosophy kind of influences your casting choices. We can start with Joe.
I'm not sure I'm totally clear, James, on what you're asking.
I suppose, well, the question that was presented was, could you discuss how your script or personal directing philosophy influenced your decision-making when it comes to choosing your actors? So I know actually out of the 3 films represented here, you definitely had the vast majority, you had a much larger cast.
It was a large cast. Yeah.
Right, definitely a much larger cast. So when it came to who you wanted to see on screen and how you wanted to kind of color that picture, how do you think that your personal directing philosophy had any, kind of how do you approach that?
Really, it was about raw talent. It was about, the actors who came in and who gave great readings, and I just felt that they were, and it happened with the character who plays Eve, Sophie. I mean, she walked in and her audition was phenomenally good, and I was just like, it was one of those moments where you go, oh, she's absolutely brilliant. She's exactly it. She's exactly how I envisage her. She was, full of anxiety. She's slightly flustered, but she's also quite, comic in her anxiety, and she was lovable. She was lovable, and she was her immediately, and it was exactly the same for the character who plays Olivia, the sister who she kisses, who's an out and confident lesbian. Absolutely, just came in and just nailed the audition. So I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like there's a specific philosophy. It's really what the actor does when they come in with reading.
Yeah.
But having said that, what I would say regarding the script is, it was really important to have like friends of mine, lesbian identified women, actually read the script and actually tell me, this feels real, that doesn't, and also have that input. I also met women in various festivals and, lesbian community areas, and I asked them, would you read it? Would you give me, your thoughts on it? That was really important.
Yeah. Sounds good there. Anyone else want to chime in just with a last little bit there before we move?
I'll just jump in to say that the experience I had with Cost You Nothing, I was very lucky, again, having Jack in the early stages of it, because once I knew that he was playing the lead role, the next person to be cast was the actor who would play his mother. So really from there, I was looking for somebody who was not only fabulous as an actor in their own right, and to play a great character like the mother, Eileen. But what was terrific was Jack was able to be there to do to audition in person with say 20 actors who were being auditioned for the role of his mum. So that was a huge help to be able to see them playing off each other. It gave Jack lots of time to kind of get into the role, I think, and try a few different things. He was able to try different things with each actor that came into audition. But to be able to kind of see their relationship and kind of say, oh, I can totally see this person, that person in the role of his mother, and their dynamic, and a kind of the a bit of warmth here, a bit of tension here, and all the unspoken things not being said and subtext and all that kind of stuff. And that really made the job hugely easy for me on this specific occasion.
That's a very good point as well. And I think, when you get into the chemistry between the two actors, that's huge. And I know, as Dean was saying, he, didn't ask about the two main actors in Next of Kin, for example, but their chemistry and their ability to tackle this situation on screen was undeniably excellent. And I think that's something too that it kind of can transcend. It doesn't really matter if you are LGBTQ or not. Certain themes and certain things can transcend, but obviously having actors who are so good that really helps as well.
I managed to join via audio.
Oh, great! Good to have you, Jack. So
hey, God, I'm so sorry. I don't know what went wrong.
Right. Well, it's no problem. And so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
We've
for
been
the invite.
talking with Patricia quite a bit about Cost You Nothing.
Hey, Patricia.
Would you like to tell everyone who's watching a little bit about yourself and your experience with the film?
Yeah, so as you know, my name is Jack Murphy. I'm 31 from Dublin. I did the film with Patricia Cost You Nothing. Really, like, meeting Patricia and doing this film with her was amazing. When she came to me with the script, I was blown away. I was absolutely, I remember saying to Patricia, like, how did you get the mindset of a trans person into a script? And she laughed, and she I don't even know if she even said anything. I think she just said, I just did. And it was so spot on, and I really commend her for writing such an amazing script.
And it is, and I hope that everyone that is watching tunes into both, or I should say, all of the films that we're talking about here, which again is Cost You Nothing,
Yes.
Eve, and Next of Kin. So let's talk a little bit about, well, Jack, since you just arrived, actually, let me ask you another question.
Okay.
So, being that you are trans yourself,
Is ice cream van in the background. Yeah, that's the ice cream van in the background.
Okay. Well,
sorry.
No problem. So, what do you think is important for directors, writers, producers, etc., to keep in mind when they're considering casting an LGBTQ film?
Yes.
And anything that you can kind of any input you'd like to share from the actor's perspective.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you don't have to be a part of the LGBT community to play a role, because in the essence of it, you are an actor at the end of the day. So I think, in any sense of the word, yes, okay, you are filming an LGBTQ plus, film, and yes, that's all good and well, but I do believe that cis people can play roles, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Cis people can play those roles too. And then on the other side of things, yes, brilliant. Give LGBT people all the
so hard to
roles.
figure out how to get his picture in.
But other than that, like, I would, like, I think it's very hard out there as a trans actor, and I know a couple of trans actors, it's very hard out there to actually find work in saying that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. I think we had a nice discussion while you were having technical difficulties about the fact that the plain fact that there's not an abundance of LGBTQ actors.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
There's just not. You could have a casting call just for LGBTQ people, and you might get a tenth of what you would get if it was an open call.
Exactly.
So that's a practical logistical thing there that has to be recognized as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So we don't have too much time left. We've got about 15 minutes actually. What I would love to hear from everyone, and we'll start with Dean. I would love to hear what LGBT film you saw that kind of sparked your energy, where you said, "Wow, I want to make movies. I want to get into being an artist on the screen."
Oh, I tell you, this is difficult because I wouldn't say there's a specific LGBT film that would have attracted me to the screen, because my background is very much theatre. And the reason that I kind of moved over to the screen, and it's only in the last couple of years, it's just because I saw that it was a means to access a much wider audience with social justice themes that I'm interested in. So I mean, my graduation film was about social justice, looking at the stolen babies during the Franco era. Completely different. Next of kin in the LGBT film. The current film that we're just in post-production with is about the kinder transport and looking at the British Jewish community. So yeah, I can't really say a specific film per se that got me into film, I'm afraid, because it's more the medium itself that I saw as an opportunity to highlight certain social justice issues on a bigger scale compared to theatre that I was used to and that I've kind of been brought up with.
Sure. Any inspiration from anything particular for you, Joe? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, I was just going to say if there's one, I guess, LGBTQ plus film which definitely had a huge impact on me when I was growing up was My Beautiful Laundrette, which was just incredible and authentic and believable characters. And I think, yeah, if we're talking a film, that is a film which had a huge impact on me because I saw them and I recognized them. And it's very difficult. I don't know if everyone would agree with this, but I mean, there's so many representations previously, maybe not now because there's a greater range of really good queer films, but there was a period where I just never saw anyone on screen who resembled myself or any of the people I know. And so, yeah, I think it's fantastic that I think that is changing. But that is definitely a film, which is an old film now, but it had a huge impact on me.
Awesome. How about you, Patricia?
Yeah, I'm trying. You kind of threw me a little bit with that. I'm glad you didn't come to me first. And I think part of the reason for that is because, of course, recently things have been a lot better. But for decades, there were so few, unless you really just went to, seek out queer films in particular film festivals. I mean, they generally weren't shown on TV. They generally weren't mainstream. It was hard to find them. So looking back, I think now I remember too that kind of made quite a difference to me just in terms of being something really different. Were My Own Private Idaho. All those years ago, if anyone's old enough to remember that, that was really something quite different. I hadn't seen anything like that before. And also I remember Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. That was something that was quite different as well back in the day. And only just because I love it so much, I'm going to throw in The Favourite now as well, because it's one of my favourite films of recent years. And at least, thankfully, it is mainstream, which is great.
And it was called The Favourite, you said?
The Favourite, the one that won all the awards the recently with them.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm going to have to look that one up. So,
the Yorgos Lanthimos one, didn't it win the Oscar or something like that? I think. Yeah.
Oh wow! All right. Yeah, I am.
Anyway, so that's it's like again, it's really more. Yeah, no, I won't spoil or anything. It's fabulous. Watch it.
Right.
Can I just have one thing?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I mean, just to talk about a film that had an influence, it didn't necessarily make me want to make films because I was young at the time. But Joe kind of triggered this in my head with his reference there. It was Beautiful Thing. And for me, this film was really one of the first ones that I could identify with because the guys in it were just ordinary kind of like estate boys. And yeah, there was this connection that I had immediately with that story and with their lives. And
yeah.
And
I actually have seen that. I've seen that one. That's got the Mamas and the Papas soundtrack, right? Yeah. That was so one of my good friends in my late teens, which is when I came out as a lesbian. Her parents owned a video store, so we watched all the gay films, and Beautiful Thing was one of those. Jack, do you have any inspirational movies that really moved you to?
Yeah, Jesus.
The arts?
Well, I think Boys Don't Cry.
Wow. Yeah.
I think when I saw that film, I Well, first of all, Hilary Swank and her kind of commitment to the role, you know, yes, she's cis, she played a trans role, amazing. She did it amazingly. I think, you know, that story, however tragic it is, what a film. I mean, absolutely amazing film. You know, that kind of explained things to me. You know, explained why I feel, you know, because I didn't, when I was discovering who I was, I didn't know where, you know, I didn't know where I was, I didn't know who I was, I didn't know what transgender meant. And when I saw that film, I thought, wait, there's somebody else who thinks like that and sees the world like I do. And, you know, and when I saw that film, I straight away, I was like, bam, that's it, you know.
Yeah.
And that was the film that kind of was like, wow.
Yeah. That was an incredibly powerful film.
Incredibly powerful, yes, incredibly powerful.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Good discussion there. I'm glad that I just, you know, pounced on that little question. There's one in the chat. I believe it's from someone who came in after we talked about it, maybe. Oh, okay. So from Adrian, they just wanted to know why a trans actor for a trans role. Can you elaborate? So this was definitely for Patricia. But if you wanted to just elaborate again on just how important it was for you to have a trans actor for the role and not just, you know, maybe as a consultant or something, you know, to actually have an actor in that role, that would be great.
Sure. Well, I think really to be able to discuss the emotion of the issue with somebody who really felt it, understood it, lived it, had that as their history, you know, was really important because, as I said, there's only so much of maybe an understanding that I can get from my own research and talking to people and listening to people. But it's quite different if I'm asking, you know, if there's some element, of course, of me representing a character that I don't identify as in a story. It is really important to make sure that, you know, I mean, we've all seen so many characters throughout the years, not just playing trans characters, but queer characters and so on, who, you know, really it all things seemed a little bit surface, or it seemed like there was maybe a kind of a mimicry going on of queer characters or something like that. And obviously that's the last thing that you want. You want to make sure that the emotion, the point of the whole story that you're trying to portray will come across. And the best way to do that, of course, is to properly, genuinely collaborate with somebody who lives it on a daily basis. And you can say, look, you know, I was able to say to Jack, kind of, am I getting this? Is this a realistic kind of argument that a trans man would have with his mother? Is it dialogue too on the nose? Is it clear enough? What can you feel the history between them and so on? Is there anything that would help to kind of get, you know, more of that, something that I'm not missing? Like we discussed the beard earlier on. You know, are there other things that the cis community just don't have a notion about really when it comes to trans lives and the experience that are such an integral part that it would be a real shame not to kind of have it. So you know, but it makes a huge difference then when you have an actor that is so kind of open to you know, expressing themselves and being truthful, which Jack was. You know, we had lots of conversations and I really got to know him very well. And that's just fantastic. And, you know, it's brilliant to have somebody that's kind of so open and is happy to share genuinely his experience with the world, you know, in this role and beyond, you know, including coming on here to chat today about it.
Right. Absolutely. And Jack, would you like to chime in there a little bit about your personal take on that?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Me and Patricia did have a sit down, and I went over the script, you know, and yeah, and that's, as I said to her, like how did you get this onto paper? You know, like, how did your brain get this onto paper? And, you know, she kind of just said, like, I that's just how I did it, you know, like, and, you know, I was shocked, and I was quite, you know, it's impressive. It was so impressive to me. And I just said to her straight away, I just said, like, yes, like 100%, because the way Patricia explained how she wanted everything to be portrayed, and how, as in, like, she explained the way the first kind of scene would be, how my mother would behave, how, you know, I would enter a room and my mother would kind of stiffen up a little bit, you know, and just the way Patricia kind of like showed me how it would be before it even became, was amazing to me, that I just said yes straight away. It was a no-brainer,
Right.
100% no-brainer, and I couldn't be more thankful to Patricia for giving me that chance.
Right. Yeah.
Can I say, I just want to give a little shout out to the actor Diana O'Carroll, who played Jack's mother in the film, Eileen.
Yes,
she did also an amazing job, and she brought so much to as well that it would be remiss not to mention her collaboration also, and the wonderful nuances as well that she brought to the film.
Right. And we've got a few minutes left. One thing that I have been thinking about now that we've had this excellent discussion is we tend to put a lot of emphasis on representation in terms of casting. But my thought is, and especially talking with you all today, that having the representation on the writing, directing, producing side is just as important, if not more important, because it can kind of get rid of, I think some of our main concerns might lie in, you know, exploitative nature of storytelling that's not yours. So how do you feel about that? You know, as right now anyway, how would you say that you kind of represent and make up for any lack of LGBT casting, because you're actually there writing, directing, producing these amazing projects? I think there's a question in there somewhere. If there's not, just chime in with an opinion.
I'll start that one. I know the script for Next of Kin I wrote.
I think we lost.
Oh dear, I hit the wrong button. I'll bring him back. The stream. There he is. Sorry, so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
You're on it again. That was my bad clicking.
No worries. So yeah, I wrote Next of Kin, and it's based on my own story, my own experiences, and my own dialogue there as well. And although the story itself isn't an actual event that happened, all the elements of it were actual events that did happen. And so for me, you know, the lines that are being delivered by the characters are the lines that have been delivered by me and my partner over the years. The lines that were delivered by the other characters were also lines that I'd heard in that situation. And so the authenticity of the script, the authenticity of the dialogue, I knew was there, and I knew it was solid, and I knew it can stand up to criticism. And so I just needed to have the right actors who could connect with that dialogue and obviously bring something of themselves to it, because they are not me, but I was looking for, you know, some elements of the younger me, obviously, in there, the younger version of my partner.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, that if you get a writing team where they can bring this authenticity to the characters through the dialogue,
right,
then it makes it easier as well for the actor. If the actor is part of that community already, maybe it will be even easier. But if they're not, then it gives them so much more to grab hold of and to identify with and to work with. So I think that, yeah, as you said, that's the key, that it starts with the script. Because if the script isn't there, and then you're getting actors in to portray characters, I think Patricia alluded to this earlier, that are kind of just superficial, then that's what you're going to get on screen at the end of the day. And that's when, it's going to put back the calls, decades, because
Absolutely.
That's not the reality of what we live and what's out there and the people in the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it looks like we're out of time, unfortunately, but I really enjoyed getting to know all of you. And again, just really want to say thank you so much for not only submitting to Out South, but also participating in this panel. So again, Jack Murphy and Patricia Kelly.
Thank you.
Very much thank you. From Cost You Nothing. Joe Solomon, the director of Eve, and Dean Marriott, writer and director of Next of Kin. And I think that's it. There weren't any other questions. So thanks again, everyone, for watching as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I've ended the broadcast, and I know you two are the only one that stuck around. Everybody else is shut down, so it's all good.
Well, thank you.
But, really appreciate it. I know
Thank
it's a time shift for everybody. Really appreciate your time. I hope much success with your films. Really enjoyed it. Really glad. Jack, you're in the background, which is fine. Unfortunately,
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We always have tech issues, and it happens.
Yeah.
And goodness, Xiaowen, you missed the whole thing.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry that you did not get to participate in the panel. It must be it's disappointing for us to not have had a chance to chat with you about this. So sorry. Anyway, so we've got another panel that happens at 5 with a feature film. Really appreciate your time. Good luck with Next of Kin and Cost You Nothing.
Thank you.
Hey, can I just say one thing to Patricia? Patricia, it's good to see you again because I met you at the Waterford Film Festival.
I remember as soon as you started talking, and I thought, I've met this guy before. Yes, that was Kath. And I think you did your script win the screenplay award, screenwriting award?
It did. Yeah.
It did. Was it this script?
It was this script.
Oh, fantastic. Well, congratulations. That's wonderful. And Cost You Nothing was also was in that festival, the script as well, at that stage.